What about now? Can you hear me now? It could be a you problem. You can hear me? Good. All right, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you can hear me now. So what I was saying, I've been working on a Frieren model. Really like the show. Watched it a while back. Actually, I kind of want to watch it again because I still don't know if I want to turn this into an action figure or a statue. Oh, all right. Glad you can hear me too. Or a statue. Um, but I kind of want to run through the show and see if there's cool moments that I'm forgetting. There's a lot of really cool moments, but see if there's some cool moments from the show that I can try to capture in statue form. Um, but thanks for coming in. I see a lot of first time folks, so that's really cool. Um, and yeah, I think I'm just gonna jump on into it. Let's see. All right. Phew. All right, so this is where I'm at so far. Um, she's basically just blocked in at this point. Got a lot of costume detail. Most things roughed in. There's a little bit of details that I can still add. She has on her cuffs and on her little capelet these little lapels, and there's some ridging and some studs there. I think here, this is probably a better image right here. Yeah, also on her collar, she has a button too. So I think I'm just going to throw those things on and get those little last details tossed in, and then I'm going to start actually working on some of the sculpting and fine details of this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to try to get to that soon because I haven't really done much with the face. I just kind of roughed it in. I had talked before. I don't quite know what I want to do with the eyes because a lot of anime statues. Yes, thank you for letting me know. Hi, Emma. um, but with a lot of anime statues, they kind of go for a simpler kind of look where they don't actually add an eyeball and too much eye detail. They handle that in paint, and I'm not quite sure if I want to do that or not because my end goal is to do some 3D printing with this and get that all done. And if I'm going to do that, I want to paint it. I don't want it to just be a gray model. But with that, I'm just going to jump in and get some of these last details on the costume done. For those of you that don't know, the software that I'm using is ZBrush. I've been using it for almost 20 years now. You suck at 3D modeling? No. See, I used to also think that I wasn't all that great, but it's just one of those things where the more you do it, the more you learn, the more you can pick up. Like I said, I have been doing this for 20 years now, and it has allowed me to learn a lot. And with that comes speed and yeah, so I'm just going to add these details here. There's a ridge around this long epaulet on the capelet. So I'm just going to use this edge loop tool that just allows me to like add this edge all the way around, and then I can use that same bit to kind of drag that out. And then I'll smooth it out and see if there's anything I want to do in addition to that. I don't think I do. I think it looks pretty good. I might add a crease on this edge on the inside here just to sharpen it up a little bit on this edge right here. This brush that I'm using right now is really really amazing. In ZBrush, in traditional 3D packages, you use different tools to achieve effects, but in ZBrush they call them brushes. So it's really a tool that I'm using with the model. And this one is really versatile because it works with simple geometry and allows you to do a lot. You can access different abilities, kind of, to add creases and extrude. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So it's crisper on the inside right there. I'm going to do the same thing while I have all that going. I'm going to do the same thing with this cuff bit. And also right now it's on symmetry, so it's working on both sides. So everything I do on one side is affecting the other side, which is very helpful. I am going to kind of work fast because I kind of want to get to a couple different things tonight to start. But if there's anything that you see that you're like, oh, how did you do that? Just throw it in the chat. Ask me and I'll walk through it again. I have no problem doing that. And also thank you for coming in. If I didn't say that, I think I said that already, but to the whole that's here now, thank you a lot. It's been really fun. This is my third stream, so it's still pretty new. I think affiliate is possible sooner than I thought, but I still need to get my numbers in stream up a little bit higher. But they haven't been too bad, so I don't think I'm going to get it this month. But if more people kind of join in, I think it's possible in the next couple months I might be able to do that. So that's really exciting. All right, so that cuff's there. What's happening here? It's like something shifted. For some reason, my belt shifted forward. Or no, that's a different belt. I had a couple different belts going. There we go. Yay! Has anybody here watched Frieren before or is intending to watch it eventually? If not, you should. I know one of my friends who was in chat last time, he messaged me and was like, I watched it. It's amazing. Yeah, it is. It's so good. He's like, am I going to cry the whole time? And I said, no, not the whole time, but a lot. Right now I'm just masking some stuff off because I want to kind of pinch this area in a little bit. Yeah, you'll have to check it out, G#. It's really, really, really cool. Just to describe it a little bit, it has some elements of kind of the D&D fantasy world in it, and Frieren is the main character. She's an elven mage, and basically it kind of starts off where she is returning to kind of the main kingdom after her and her adventuring party have defeated the big bad, and it kind of starts from there. What happens after the adventure for these folks? How do they continue their lives? And it's very interesting. I put it on because it just made me feel good and motivated after I watched it. Yeah, it's really cool. She's an interesting character. She's very silly and kind of aloof and kind of trying to rediscover herself in a way. And yeah, I just really like it a lot. So I'm excited to work on this. One of the reasons I am working on it is because another streamer that I watch, she was talking about it and was like, oh, it's one of my favorite shows and I really want to watch it again. And I was like, yeah, I want to watch it again too. And it was getting to the point where I was starting to think, yeah, I want to stream. And I was trying to think of different projects that I could do to start. And I thought this would be as good as any. Let's see, so this button was pretty close to the edge there. So right now I'm working with a sphere, just kind of putting that in there, and then I'm going to squish it to kind of make that button shape. Just kind of drop it in. Right now I'm just trying to block things in still. I'm not too concerned with like exact details. Just kind of want to rough things in and get them in close to the right spot. I've been kind of adjusting things in between streams just to save some time and keep some of the more fun stuff on stream instead of some of the mundane things. Some people might disagree that certain things are mundane, but when you've been doing it for as long as I have, I kind of don't necessarily know what people will or will not like on stream. So I'm just trying to keep it to the cool stuff as best I can. Let's see. The manipulation tools in this program look different than I've seen before. Can you touch on that? Let's see. Well, right now it's mainly because I'm using this one particular brush that's called the Z Modeler brush, and I'm using the Move tool, which the Move tool is basically just breaks it down. It grabs points, and you can shift things around. And that's kind of, since I'm at that low resolution stage of the meshes, I'm just focusing on that. But once we get into subdividing some of these objects, then I'll be able to go and treat things more like clay. So I can get that fabric going. I can sculpt out and fine tune the face and get folds and wrinkles and stuff like that in the clothing. So yeah, when ZBrush started, this brush actually wasn't part of it. And it kind of was a game changer, at least for me, once this was introduced. Because it did add a missing element for me, where you can manipulate geometry in this lower form and have more control, where with sculpting you still have control when you're using the clay-like tools, but you don't have point control, which is kind of necessary in the early phases of digital modeling. Another thing I'm doing is I'm masking off areas that I don't want to move, so that way I can kind of manipulate particular spots. I can mask by grouping, which is basically just a kind of a quick select, or it can be used as a quick select. You can also mask particular areas. Let's see, how does that look? Just left a little square in there. Let me see if I can round this off real quick. And then I want to reuse this button in a couple spots, so that way I don't have to remake them. Okay, I think I'm going to move this a little bit over. There we go. I might change the design of that a little bit, but I think that's pretty close to what's in the art that I've seen. All right, now I'm going to duplicate. There's a drag duplication with this particular tool. This thing right here is called the gizmo. And it's just a manipulation tool where you can move it through space, you can change the scale, you can rotate things around. There's also some other elements to it, but I'm not gonna really get into that stuff with this particular project. But I might put up a poll eventually to see if there's anybody that's interested in any particular aspects of the software, and I can focus and do kind of tutorials or pick a project that will focus on tools that people are interested in. But for right now, I'm just trying to focus on getting the thing done. Okay. That's a little bit higher, a little bit smaller. So G-Sharp, you said you modeled a little bit, or you said you suck at it, so that means you've done it though. What softwares have you used? If you don't mind me asking. Only Blender. Yeah, I've done a little bit with Blender. I do want to do more. It's pretty powerful software, especially since it's free. So definitely, I would recommend that for a lot of people, especially starting out. Though it's really, really broad, so it might be kind of hard to wrap your head around. So I do recommend kind of figuring out like the focus that you want to do when you're modeling, so that way you can actually focus on those particular tools. They do have some really good modeling tools, and they've got sculpting stuff that's starting to rival ZBrush. So yeah, it's I think that's a good one to definitely start out with. So yeah, stick with it. I know there's a few people in another Discord server that in a Discord server that I'm in, that are using Blender, and I've been talking to them about it, and they like it. They're just trying to find tutorials to get it going. All right, now this button is separate, and I'm going to mirror it so that will show up on the other side. Okay, mirror on the x-axis. You see it pops on the other way. See, I made like a little bear and a few world elements for a game. Basically never started. It's been abandoned for like 9 years though. Well, get back into it, man. It's never too late. Find inspiration where you can. Maybe this is it. Maybe coming in here, you can get some good motivation and decide to pick up modeling again. And I, for one, kind of want to turn this into kind of an art community. So if people feel unmotivated or want to bounce things off of me or each other, it gives people a space to create, and maybe I'll do my own Discord server where people can share their art and we can critique each other and give feedback. I think that would be a lot of fun, but you know, baby steps. First, I gotta get my own work done and get people interested in something like that. But yeah, definitely, man, that'd be really cool to hear you getting back into it. And I myself would love to hear how that goes for you. Let's see, so I got the buttons. Let's see, let's bring my reference out. And let's see if we can just do some fun blocking in of things. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the skirt for a little bit first. And now, so right now everything is at this low subdivision level, but I have a preview on that makes it look like it's all at a higher level. Let me kind of give you an example. Let me go back and see if I can undo this for everything. So all the way to the top, get the model in there. Tapping through. So this is basically where the model is at right now. It's all at these lower subdivision levels. You can see all the polygons and everything. So yeah, I might try to do that game again. Graphics don't really matter too much. I just need it to look sort of, yeah, I mean, that's true, you know, getting it in there, just getting it going. A game functioning is more important than anything. And then once you have it functioning, then you can get the art going. What program do you normally use to texture? I don't do a lot of texturing in my line of work because I'm creating mainly for product. So I usually do everything in ZBrush. Sometimes if I need to apply textures in a different way or I'm having issues with ZBrush, I'll go to Maya. I've used Blender myself. But when I'm doing color stuff, I just use ZBrush. I have an example. Let me see if I can bring it up. Of a color piece that I did for my wife. A while back. Let's see. Oh, and that's not where it is. There we go. Pose, parting 3. Let's do this. I think this one works. So this was another one that I did all in ZBrush. And this was done specifically for color print. So this is my wife's Animal Crossing character at the time. Like, you know, it changes constantly because you get new outfits and all that kind of stuff. But at the time, this is kind of her favorite. And yeah, so this is her character. All of this texture, color texture was done in program. The paint tools are really simple. And I'm not a big color guy, but I can copy. And the print turned out really well. I don't want to run and get it right now, but probably on another stream or something like that, I can do it, or I can post it on Instagram at some point. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. My socials are all KGart82 pretty much across the board. Instagram, YouTube, here on Twitch. But yeah, follow me there. Follow me here. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun to do, and it turned out really well. So it was kind of nice to be able to do this for her. But yeah, so I am someone who likes to stay within one software as long as I can at any given point. I don't like to bounce back and forth between software packages unless I absolutely have to, just because it gets confusing and there's a lot of things that can happen when the softwares are talking to each other. you know, a lot of them have plugins so they can talk to each other well, but I still find that I have run into problems in those situations. Um, so yeah, I just like to avoid it as often as possible. This heel, I'm going to do something real quick to this. I don't like how the geography of the geometry is kind of pinching here. So I'm going to spread it out a little bit, just a little bit. And then I'm going to start subdividing through the model and try to rough in some of the folds and get closer to the reference that I pulled. So G Sharp said he was working on a game. Are you working on anything, Emma? I assume you are okay with me using your name since you put it in chat. If whatever you're working on, though, is too traumatizing, you don't have to talk about it. I promise. All right, I spread some of these points out. Yeah, that's better. That doesn't pinch like it was before. So I'm going to subdivide this. So when you see it smooth like this is just a preview of the smoothing. So when I subdivide it, though, it doesn't quite get to that same smoothing right away. It just steps it up. And I can push it even further than what's in there, so it has a nice kind of smooth finish. See, I'm working on a concept sketch right now for character models. Cool, yep. That's good to be able to draw and model. I really need to brush up my drawing skills. I've been trying to draw some stuff lately and have not been happy with the results, so I just need to do it more. It's been a long time. I'm very out of practice. I'm used to just modeling in the computer and looking at other people's artwork or reference of people. And yeah, it gets frustrating when the thing that is in your head that you know you can do or you could do before is not happening. All right. Subdivide that, and then subdivide this. See, same here. Actually been frustrated lately. The same, yeah, sometimes it's just really, really annoying. Okay, now there's not a lot of stuff going on with the boots, at least in these images. So I'm just gonna add some touches while I'm down here. And the brushes I'm gonna kind of bounce between, there's one called the standard brush, and there's one called the Damien standard brush, or Dame standard. And it's called that because it literally was developed by a person named Damien, and so they just kind of named it after him. And this is going to be probably in the stuff that you're kind of more familiar with seeing, Emma. So there's a little bit of like a fold that's like kind of like right here, and it's only on this one side, and I think it's because like the boot is going up. So I'm only going to do like a subtle kind of crease right here, a little fold, just to kind of like indicate where that happens normally. And in the end, I'm probably going to end up changing this, but I kind of want to have just an indicator right now, so that way when I go in and resculpt it in whatever pose that I'm going to put her in, that that'll be right where it is. also a little bit of kind of just like some wear wrinkles kind of right here at the toe where it bends. See? Oh, I see. Yeah, you're pushing and pulling. Haven't had a chance to use sculpting yet, the programs. Yeah. Have I used Nomad Sculpt? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. What is who makes that? Is that within like a different software package, or is that its own kind of standalone software? Another thing that I'm doing between the standard brush and the Damien standard brush is I hold down shift, and there's a smooth brush that's kind of just default by holding down shift. So if there's some stuff that isn't quite landing how I want, or I want to like smooth out and have a nice blend off of an action, I hold down shift and it kind of smooth that stuff out. Okay, so my boots are divided. I kind of got the creases kind of where I want them. Just going to move up the leg, and I'm not going to mess with anything with the body yet. I'm going to keep it at this level for now because I want to see if there's anything that I want to retopologize or work on in the face before I start doing that. So I'm going to go to the skirt. I'm going to divide it up. I'm going to look at her skirt, and I see there's kind of some pleating happening here. I'm going to turn off symmetry because I don't necessarily want this to be the same. And I'm also going to go into each brush either does the add or subtract, and the standard brush is automatically an add, so it raises the surface, but I kind of want to dig into it more so right now than add, so I'm going to turn it to Z sub up here, and then that means it'll automatically dig into the surface. And if I want to do occasional rising off of the surface, I can hold down the Option or the Alt key, and it does that opposite action. Let's see. I think it's its own product, but you've seen people use it on tablets and stuff to do simple 3D modeling and figures for art dolls and stuff. Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I'm just not quite sure about it. Let's see. So on this side, some folds kind of go down this way. I've got some pleats that are pretty strong on these areas right here. And these I'm probably going to try to get deeper and turn them kind of into folds and do a little bit more billowing in some of these other areas. And I'll use the move brush and lower the geometry. Kind of change the shape there. I'm gonna bring up this other reference right here. It's pretty similar. It's got different parts, but I'm focused really also not just on the front and side view, but this back view. So what I'm going to do is kind of, it looks like it squares off a little bit, but I don't want to do it too much. but there's some kind of flattening happening in the back of the skirt there. And also while I'm here, I can make some of these folds deeper. And anything I do at this lower level is going to have some sort of effect on the higher levels. And I can go back in and smooth stuff out. All right. I'm going to do a little bit more on this, because you can see there's a little bit of some folds kind of going back here as it tucks in under the belt. So I'm going to kind of indicate where those are happening. Again, just bouncing back and forth between the smooth brush, the standard brush, and the Dame standard brush. Another way I can get kind of some of this billowy effect, instead of using the move brush, I can go in, make the standard brush larger, and kind of get a swooping motion in. And her skirt bells out just a little bit more. So I'm going to drop the subdivision level a bit. So I'm grabbing more points than I am, or less points. Because sometimes when you're doing big moves, the less points that you can grab, the better. It makes the model less warbly. Again, I just want to kind of block in some of these details. I don't want to do too much stuff right now, because once I start getting stuff posed, that's going to change the whole dynamic of this thing. So now I want to do the same thing kind of here. I want to move this around and try to see if I can match some of this action. I was contemplating making this actually be part of the skirt. It would make it a little bit easier in some ways having it together, but I opted to have it be separate because I'd have a little bit more control over it. Which again is just something that I think is really important. This is so cool. What's your favorite material or texture to sculpt? The material that I'm using right now is one that someone at the studio that I work at developed, and it's a gray material, but it has kind of this reddish hue to it. And yeah, it's a little warmer than a typical gray. Like I'll go to one of the basic ones. There's this matte cap gray, which is good. It shows some of the darker areas. It brings shadows in, and it's that very gray look to it. But I just like something a little softer. Because one, for me, with the basic gray material, sometimes those shadows are a little deceiving and details don't pop as much. So I have to work a little bit harder to make the details pop with this material, which I like, because I've come into certain instances with 3D printing where I thought I had a detail looking great, and it just didn't show as well as I had hoped. And part of that was because what I was seeing on screen looked good, and I thought it was just fine. And then when I finally got to the actual print, it just did not do the trick. Let's see. I like cloth, fur, scales, slime, etc. Sorry, I should have. Let's see. What's your favorite material, texture to sculpt? I don't really have a favorite in that sense. I mean, most of the time, it's just me and a character. So there's not a lot of opportunity. I do like sculpting hair. All forms. I like doing simplified hair. I like doing very detailed, fine hair and fur. I can kind of get lost in that, and it's a lot of fun. But I don't necessarily have a favorite. If I was going to pick one, though, it probably would be sculpting hair, which I know a lot of people don't like sculpting hair. So I guess I'm an odd one in that sense. Take a drink real quick. I'm interested to see how you approach starting the hair. I'm actually probably going to get to that pretty quick. So let me just kind of cook through some of this stuff so we can go through it. What are we doing on time? Let's see. We're almost in an hour, so we're not doing too bad. Some of the stuff I can just divide because I don't really need to get... That cuff is pretty solid, so there's not a lot of play with it. Same with these things. I might just leave these in this preview mode for now. Same with this. There's not a lot that changes here for her. This shirt area is usually pretty smooth and taut except for the line work. So I'm just gonna kind of keep this. I might divide it a little bit more. There we go. So let's divide this up. See if we can put a few detailed wrinkles in. And what's funny is like you are interested in how I'm going to approach the hair, and with this particular character, since it's an animated character, it's gonna be a lot like how I approach, or how I'm approaching the clothing, but with a lot more detail. There's a lot more that goes into the hair than a few wrinkles and folds. Especially with like this animated character, they don't want to put too much detail because that just means that they have to animate all that stuff. So to save time, they don't give themselves more work. Let's see. And since you're interested in the hair, I'm just going to jump to it. Why not? So I'm just gonna put these things in preview mode again because they look nice in that sense. And let's see, I do have this bit of reference here that goes into more hair detail. Let's move some of these off, and then we'll move our girl Frieren off to the side here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with her scalp. So right now what I have is I've put the basic shape of the hair that's actually directly on her head, and I put a few creases in to where her part line is, so that way as I divide it up, it kind of is going to maintain that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of enhance that part with the Damien standard brush. But I do use that brush a lot more. Oh, I need to adjust something real quick. When you have reference up, it kind of keeps you from sculpting. All right, so I'm gonna deepen this part just a little bit using this brush. Smooth it out a little bit. Then I'm going to see where there's issues with the scalp, and I'm going to kind of bring it back using the move brush. And now I'm going to look for big hair shapes. So it looks like for the front here, I'm going to drop it back down again. It swoops more. It starts high and then kind of comes down to the eyebrow. So I'm going to bring this middle part up a bit higher to give her some more forehead. And I think this droop is at a pretty good spot. So I'm just going to keep that there. Now I'm going to divide it up, and now I'm going to introduce another brush, my other favorite brush. I have like 8 tools or brushes that I use a lot that I have as hotkeys at the top. The Damien Standard, the Move tool or brush, and clay tubes, which is what I'm going to use now. And this is good because this kind of gets some texture. It also helps you get flow and direction because you can smooth stuff out. But it's basically this kind of square shape that you can kind of just like bring back over itself. And what's nice is as you go, especially when you're doing hair, it kind of automatically with this square shape puts these like creases in. And it kind of, especially in this instance where we're doing something that's more graphic, a more graphic character, it kind of starts to give you areas where strand detail would kind of pop. Now here there's not too much in this front area, so I'm going to kind of keep it light, but already kind of adding that volume has given me some areas to work with. And this is kind of tight to her head. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's so cool. So I'm going to kind of shape it just a little bit, and I'm going to smooth it out. I also like to use a brush called the hard polish brush, and if I see anything that's kind of like lumpy, it just kind of smooths it out, flattens the area. These kind of interesting like back side bangs, I'm going to shift those around just a little bit, and then I'll continue with the rest of the hair that's directly tightened to the scalp. Any questions, other questions from anybody else while I'm at this part? Let's see, G Sharp, do you have any questions? Adam V3D, thank you for popping in again. I think I saw you on another stream, so it's really cool to see you come on through. says there's a few other people, but it's not giving me names. There might be people just watching the live as they scroll through. But yeah, so this front area kind of has this kind of swooping direction because it's coming from the front, but the rest of the hair has kind of this back direction that's going from, let's see. I'm not that good. So you're way over, no. And well, that's the thing. It's like, it's not even about me being over your head. It's like, if you see something that is confusing or interesting, just call it out, you know, just ask. That's how you get good. That's how that has been what has helped me a lot when I watch people, and if I have an opportunity to kind of like ask what tool they're using or kind of the thought process behind a technique, it really, that can elevate you right there, because it gets your mind thinking in a different way the next time you approach your own project. So let's see, let's look at the side view. And another fun thing about ZBrush with all this reference, I can literally overlay it, which does kind of bring some of the guesswork out, which I really like. You can see like these side bangs and also her bangs are a little bit off in the side view, and that's because when I was doing the front view and trying to line some stuff up, it just wasn't looking right from the front anymore. And part of that is when you get, when you're working on a flat graphic character, there's a lot of cheating going on as far as what's happening in 3D space. And it doesn't necessarily translate the same. And you do your best to kind of capture that, but some stuff is just not going to line up the same. And if you start to try to line it up one way, it kind of makes it wonky, and you kind of have to massage it to get it where you want it. And that's one of the bigger challenges I've faced is finding that happy medium of what are the more important details to stick with. Do you want that side view? Is that really iconic? Or is the front view going to be where it's at? All right, so I have this side view, and most of it is lined up except for kind of like these bangs, just because of the way that they fall in the front usually. So I'm just going to focus on this kind of back area. And I can even make this more translucent so I can see more of my model coming through. And I'm going to start with the Damien standard brush and kind of just track some of these lines here just to get where they land. It's almost like tracing, honestly. And you can see that helped me kind of like block some stuff in. And I automatically know, just with the nature of hair, that some of this stuff, all this stuff is getting pulled towards the ponytail. So even though I don't really see it, I'm going to add a little bit here of this kind of pulling towards these bands that I have in. And I'm not really going to look at the back view just yet. Let's see. Boyfriend Sam asks if you have a resin 3D printer. Yes, I do. The printer that I use is the Saturn 3 from Elegoo. And my resin that I use normally is just the space gray. Here, I'll bring up, I have some prints here off to the side. We'll see if this camera picks it up at all. So we'll switch. Apologize for the redness in this room. I'm still working on lighting. Let's see. But yeah, this is a character Odious that's by a buddy of mine. He goes by Unparalleled Universe on Instagram and on YouTube. And this is a character that I helped him create a figure for. And so this gray resin is what I use when I do 3D printing. It gets a lot of detail. It's very clean, and I like it a lot. Let's see. Oh, that's the same one that he has. Okay, good. Yeah, no, it's a really good printer. I like it a lot. And I was really nervous about the learning curve when I first got it, because I've been making stuff for 3D printing for 20 years, but prepping things for print and actually dealing with the printer is a different story. And it was very nerve-wracking at first. And the first couple prints, clearly, as you're kind of getting your feet wet, they fail. But you know, yep, Tippy. Yeah, I gotta stay hydrated. Last stream I did not drink enough, and my voice was getting a little hoarse, and I don't have any fun emotes that people tell me to hydrate with yet. So I gotta keep it myself going. But yeah, and while we're on that, I do want to talk about this that I worked on as well. Let's go back. That's the right one. There we go. So that head that I showed you is from the first version of this figure that I worked on with my friend called Odious. And the second Kickstarter is up right now, and it's doing pretty well. It's at 62K, and we still have, let me refresh the page to see. Yep, 62. The goal is 170, and we have 20 days to go. So it's doing pretty well, but still a long way to go. But I'm really proud of this figure. I did all the sculpting for it, but there's a lot of cool soft goods involved this time around. The character, there's two versions. There's this army version or soldier version, and there is also a cowboy version, which is my favorite. I really enjoyed working on that, so I'm going to jump to that right now. But he's got kind of this Clint Eastwood look. Yeah, I do need a hydrate emote. But yes, he's got this really cool Clint Eastwood look to him, but it's the same character. What the kind of the lore behind this character is almost like a Wendigo. He himself is kind of a curse, and there's an object that if people grab or collect, he ends up basically taking over their body, and that person no longer exists. And this happens through time. So there's lots of different versions of him in different time periods. And let's see, there's kind of a modern one, which is this guy right here. So this is a variant of the first version. There was different clothing that we had for him. Yeah, the concept's really cool. He does want to make it a comic too. So, you know, as this stuff ends up working out more, hopefully we get to do more. He's got so many ideas, and I really enjoy doing the work. So hopefully people continue to support it. But yeah, it's really cool. It's on Kickstarter now. It's an independent figure, so it is pretty pricey. But, you know, it's really, really cool concept. The figures feel really nice, and especially this round, there's so much more for each figure. So yeah, if it's something you're interested in, please back it. If it's not your thing, but you know it might be someone else's, please, please, please. I'm going to throw the link into chat. And I'll pin it. Please, 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 if you could, give it a look, check it out, share it. That would be really awesome. In a week or so, I'm going to actually be doing a stream specific to this character where I believe it's for the army version, he wants to do some wolf heads, and I'm gonna live sculpt that work. So come on back if you want. But enough about that. It's really cool. It's chugging along, and I'm very happy with where this character is going. But yeah, I'm gonna up the hair subdivisions. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Again, just to add a little bit more detail, and then I'm going to go back in with this sculpting brush, the clay tubes brush. Again, another one of my favorites. And I'm going to turn the intensity down just a bit, so that way it's not as crazy as I build up. And I'm just going to try to kind of like shape out these sections, give them a little bit more volume in between those lines that I already drew, or scribed in. Scribed would be the better term. You don't necessarily see this volume in the reference because the character's flat, but in 3D you kind of gotta pick where you're gonna add that depth to make the character feel like they exist in the space. Though it depends if you're really wanting to get that anime look. There's some things that you might sacrifice, but there's a lot of things that you can achieve in paint to get that flat look. And it's still good to get the details in there because it doesn't end up limiting you with the different variants that you can do with the product. All right, let's see. A little bit more here. And once I kind of got these areas kind of filled in and the volume is up, I'm going to look at the reference from the back again and kind of get that back area figured out. And here there's a little bit of asymmetry that I'm seeing, so I'm going to kind of just eyeball it in this particular instance. And I'm going to turn off symmetry. And again, what the fun part about this is, again, I'm doing this for me, so I don't have to really worry about anyone's views on how this character should look here. I want it to be on model as much as possible, but if there's something that I think would service what I'm doing a little bit better, then I can actually go that route myself and not worry about anybody dictating that. A little bit about what I do for those that don't know. I have been in the toy industry for about 20 years now and been working on action figures primarily for the last 10. So that's kind of where my expertise is at this point. But I do lots of different things. I've worked on scan data for television and movies. I've worked on music videos here and there. I worked on a Linkin Park music video a number of years ago, and that was a trip. And sometimes I do collectible statues. It just kind of depends on where the wind is taking the studio that I work at. I am a cog in the machine. I'm a grunt. Hey, what's up, Cap? Good to see you. Right now we're just working on some hair. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate it. Before you got here, I was kind of just like doing some loose detail on the clothing, kind of blocking that in, but I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this. I am leaning more towards creating a statue, but also, like I was saying a bit ago, part of what I do is creating action figures. Oh, thank you. Part of what I do is creating action figures. So, actually, I can even bring that up right now. Let's see. Let's go to the Odious figure. See if I can find him. It's rescaled. But yeah, we were just working on some hair, and I'm going to try to get that kind of done tonight if I can. Still got about an hour to go, so I think I can get a lot of the hair done, or worked, at least blocked in. But yeah, primarily I work in action figures, and this is a particular weapon. Actually, I don't even know if I want to bring this up, all these parts. I don't think it can show. Yeah, no. Maybe the next stream I'll set that up, because I wasn't planning on doing that. So let me get rid of this right now. Let's see, delete all. Okay. Back to Frieren. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward a statue just because I think it would be really fun to get her into a cool pose. Maybe see if I can figure out how to get her into a floating pose and get some effects in there to help support her so she looks like she's floating in midair. That would be a cool challenge. There's a lot of statues that do that, and I've not really gotten an opportunity to do something like that, so it might be really fun to have an excuse to make something like that. There's also a really cool moment from the show. Well, there's a few, but there's one really cool moment in particular that I'm thinking of that might make a cool statue with some really neat effects. So I'm leaning towards turning this into a statue. And I kind of just want to get everything roughed in at first before I start posing it to give me a good start. And then once that is kind of how I want it, then I can start like really locking in details and have the clothing kind of flow in the direction of whatever's happening with the action for the character. And yeah, see what scene without spoilers for I don't think I can. Let me see if I can do this for you. There's a scene where she is in the air and it deals with doubling. So I hope that's enough for you to understand. If not, we could talk later. But yeah, it would be really cool to do kind of a floating pose. Also, another thing that I need to do is model her staff, which is really, really cool. Let's see, is it in this one? No, it's not in that piece of reference. Here, I'll pull up the staff real quick. Boop. So yeah, I'll probably dedicate one stream to making this. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited to continue to get this thing going. Okay. So Kat, since you are here, do you have any questions or thoughts or things that you are wondering either about the software or what I'm doing? How is your art journey going? I think you were one of the ones that was working in Blender as well. G Sharp, who's in here, has also some experience with Blender, and let's see. I've seen ZBrush, but you use Blender mostly. Yeah, there's some similarities. I'm also mostly that's okay. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Thanks for the lurk. I appreciate it. Lurk away. We love a good lurk. But yeah, one of the other chatters in here also has done some work in Blender, but they're working on a game, or they were working on a game. And they were thinking about getting back into it, and I was encouraging it, because what I really want this to be for a lot of people is a good excuse to do some of your own stuff. Do something for you. Do work that you want to do. Because I do other people's work all the time. And I love it, and it supports my family, and it's a lot of fun. I don't think I could ask for a better job in a lot of ways. But I don't get to do stuff for myself. And so streaming and getting to talk to other people that are creating is a good excuse for me to start doing things for myself and hopefully inspiring other folks to create. There is a friend of mine who a number of years ago passed, and she had you're welcome for a stream. And she had a motto that was always be producing, always be doing something, creating something. She was a very creative person, and I always thought that was great, but I didn't feel like I was in a place to do as much as I wanted to do. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put myself in that place. And yeah, so I'm trying it here, jumping on stream, having people hang out, and we'll see what we can create. I might even do in the future where we try to work on a project together and see, whatever software that you use, however you want to create, and we can see all of our different versions of a particular character from a show or a game, or even if we want to work on our own original characters, that could be a lot of fun. Team bonding, yeah. I mean, it is really important, especially, yeah, show and tell. I mean, like I said, like it would be fun to put together a Discord for this kind of a thing, and everybody get a chance to do the work and inspire each other and work together. Okay. It seems like there's a little bit of a this kind of comes up here in the middle just a little bit, and then this gets more to the nape of the neck. So now I'm using the move brush just to kind of like shift some of this stuff around a little bit, reshape it. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. Now I think I'm going to tackle the bangs now. These interesting, like, almost center head side bangs. They're so weird, but they look so cool on her for sure. Let me get one of the other pieces of reference. We'll bring this forward. Maybe make it less translucent. Have I seen Apothecary Diaries? No, but it's on my list. I haven't started it. My taste for anime is very interesting. At least I think it is, and not interesting in a way of like, ooh, I want to do the same as you. Um, but it's interesting in the fact that hold on, I gotta take care of something. No, I'm gonna leave that there. It's let's see, space. Yeah, no, I'm gonna remove it. Yep, sorry. Bye bye. It's interesting. I like slice of life animes. I really like the fun, silly high school kind of drama things. Apothecary is your favorite at the moment. I do want to watch it for sure, and I will. I just don't know where I'm at yet when I will watch it. I started watching. I think I told you I started watching Has Been Hotel, which is not an anime, but it is an animated series, and I'm really liking that. Another one that I started watching on Netflix. I'm forgetting the name of the character, but it's the summer uh, Hakumi died or something like that, and it's a really interesting premise about an entity that takes this kid's friend, takes their life, and basically lives in their body and is them. And it's very, very crazy how the friend is dealing with the death and the fact that this thing is like still being their friend, but they know it's not their friend, and how they're wrestling with that mentally. Um, yeah, it's really, really, really interesting. Um, and it's got some fantasy elements to it, but it is still more of that kind of like slice of life kind of anime that I like, where they're dealing with, you know, the everyday problems and uh, just going through the motions of life. So yeah, I have started that and Has Been Hotel, so I'm kind of doubled up right now as far as animated shows are concerned. Um, but I definitely will get to Apothecary Diaries for sure. I'm actually thinking about maybe the next project uh, once I finish up Frieren, is I want to pick a character from Has Been Hotel and do that. See, Apothecary Diaries is a little bit slice of life with mystery elements. Is it modern day or is it more period? Because that's something I wasn't quite sure from looking at it. If it had some kind of period elements or if it was kind of the typical modern day Japan. All right, I don't really like the shape that I have going here, so I'm going to kind of fix this. I might even remesh this. So I'm going to bring this back down. And what I think I'm going to do is something that I did with the boots. I'll show you the boots. So when I was originally modeling on stream, these are the boots that I ended up with. They were based off of the body. It kind of just chopped off the legs and just pushed around the feet. But I didn't like, oh, no period isn't said. Okay, it's in China. I did not know that. That's cool. She's an expert on poisons. It's her job to sort of discover nefarious things. I mean, it looks cool, and that sounds really cool. So I'm definitely gonna pick it up at some point. Now, is it produced in China, or is it a Japanese anime that's set in China? That's my next question. But back to the boots. So I didn't like the layout of the geometry here, so I re-topologized it. And it doesn't look too much different if you look at it, as far as the way the edge loops are going. But I just want to clean it up and simplify it so that way I could have more control again down the line. Let's see, so back to the hair. So right now is I'm going to kind of show how I did that, but with these little side bangs things. I'm going to use what's called the retopology brush. And even though I've already started sculpting on this, I'm going to delete the higher subdivisions. See, no, I believe it's Japanese anime set in China. Okay. Let's see, from what I've heard from YouTube essays, it's the most period accurate. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's a good enough reason alone right there to check it out. All right, so now I'm going to retopologize these side bangs because I want to rework the shape a little bit, and just, this is the lowest subdivision, and as you can see, there's a lot of points, and I don't want that many points to work with when I'm kind of shifting shapes around. And what's cool about this brush is it literally is, you're just kind of like drawing on the surface and you're creating the grid that you want. And you have these little lines. And you can basically just draw exactly the geometry that you want to do. This isn't the only software that does this, but what I do like about doing this in ZBrush is this is kind of the most organic I've seen this process, because retopology is not like a ZBrush thing. But doing it this way is very, very ZBrush. And what's happening is these orange areas are basically indicating, hey, that is where you have a quad that's going to work for what you're doing. And the red areas are basically triangles. And it'll accept the triangles, but quads are usually preferred in kind of any given situation. Let's see. Let's add another loop there. There. I might just move those closer because I don't want one in there. All right, so now that I've kind of drawn that out and I have it, since I have it mirrored, it did it on both sides, but it indicates very lightly the mirrored side, just so that way you know it's going to mirror, and then shows you exactly what's happening on the side that you're working on. And what's cool with this is now I can actually bring this out and create new geometry just by tapping on the model. And I can create the thickness of the geometry by the size of my cursor. So if I have the cursor really thin or really small, I can make a really thin piece of geometry that's just like riding the surface there. And if I want it like really big, I can make this cursor really big. Boom, thick boy. But I don't want that. I just want it to be kind of roughly the same thickness of what I have here. So I'll do that. I'll separate this geometry. Split unmasked. I'll hide this, and now I have this stuff right here. And now I'll use that gizmo tool that I kind of talked about before. I'll use that to start to put this in place. And now that that simplified geometry is there, I can go in with the Z modeler brush. Kind of don't like what's happening here. I might have to fix this. Hold on. So I'm going to use the Z modeler brush now to kind of tweak things to bring them to my liking. So this point right here, there's a triangle right here that I did not see. So there might have been some extra lines in there that I drew that just kind of got in the way that I didn't really notice. But I can stitch points. Stitch. So I can tap a point, tap another point, and then that gets rid of that triangle right there. Then I can use the move brush again to just move these individual points around. I kind of want this to be a little bit thicker right here. And then I do want to have a kind of a roundness to the whole thing. So I'm going to fix this triangle as well. And it's going to save right in the middle. All right, so I'm going to stitch again. Whoop. To get rid of that triangle. And I'm going to throw in some edge loops. And again, I'm going to use the Z modeler brush, which is that tool that allows me to manipulate lower level geometry. And I'm going to select an edge or highlight an edge, and I'm going to go to the insert action, and I want to add multiple edge loops. I want to have specific resolution. I want 2 lines. See how that goes. And then I want to be able to manipulate the elevation, so interactive elevation. And now I just highlight that edge again, and I drag. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. 2. There we go. Oop, there we go. Then I can drag and I can do the elevation, and it kind of rounds out that shape now. Which, yeah, I like that a lot better. And that's getting closer to her shape. I can use the move brush. It's actually not as long as I'd like it. It looks like it goes, from the side view, it goes past her mouth. But from the front view, it goes just above her mouth. So I'm going to kind of meet in the middle. Make this a little bit longer, but I'm not going to have it go past her mouth. I still want it to kind of curl in more and frame her face better. This again is just the move brush, and it's just manipulating the points. It's not actually sculpting. Something else that you might notice, you can see some of these lines have like a doubling up. And what those are creases. So if I did a preview, I turned off the grouping, you can see there's a hard edge that's happening in those creased areas. But I can go into my menus in the geometry drop-down menu, and there is an area for creases, and I can literally just get rid of all the creases. Which is good for me because I don't want any creases in this. Any of the creases that I add are ones that I want to add with my sculpting tools. So let's see, where are we at on time? Okay, we got about half hour before I think I'm going to be done. I'm going to take another drink of water. Any other questions while I take a second here? Or thoughts? Is there any other anime that anyone else is watching besides Apothecary Diaries or Frieren or anything else? Oh, hey! Thanks for following, Adam. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Like I said earlier, I'd like to get to affiliate in maybe the next couple months. There is a possibility I can probably do it within this first month, which would be really wild, just starting out. But the fact that I'm close is nice because then I can monetize and bring some light income into the family and also help support this kind of hobby and building of a community. Because money does help. I'm not expecting to make a huge profit, but it would be cool if I can kind of support it. Let's see. Not me. I really feel... Oh, you really felt off anime. It's anime trash can when I was a teen, but just haven't been motivated. Oh, we're also watching Dun Dun Dun. Yeah, I really like that. The second season was really fun. And man, both like that first season's theme slapped so hard. And I was worried when they came in with the second season if it was gonna even live up to it, and it's actually really good. Like it's still jarring that first time, like most intros when they're like, okay, we're gonna change it up. But I really, really like that one too. Some of my favorite intros ever in the shows that I watch. Oh, another one that I want to recommend. It is very silly, very cute. It's called Comey Can't Communicate. It's another one that's on Netflix. Most of the stuff that I watch is on Netflix. Some of it on Prime. And it's a really cute show about this girl that has social anxiety, but she is very pretty, so everyone kind of praises her and often misinterprets her shyness as these great things. And there's one kid in the class who she decides to kind of communicate with, and he decides to become her friend and help her get more friends because she actually has no friends, even though she's like the most popular kid in the school. So it's a really cute story and concept. So I recommend Comey Can't Communicate. Starts with a K. Comey. Komi. If you're into kind of those cute slice of life animes. Let's see. Yeah, the intros are amazing. Hard to beat. The first, yeah, that first one is just so good. But I think they pulled it off as far as the second one rivaling, you know. So let's see. We have these side bangs now. I like this shape better, the geometry. There's also some like spindly things that are coming off of it. So while it's at this lower level, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add some tubes. And it's similar to the retopology brush, but instead of just drawing the line, as I draw the line, it creates some geometry for me. And that is a thick boy. That does not look right. But that's okay, because what's going to happen is I can change the cursor size, and I can tap it, and it changes the size of the tube. There we go. I like that. All right, so what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to tap. Yeah, hair hot dogs. I'm going to tap on the geometry. It's going to get rid of that line, and I'm going to separate this bit. Split unmasked. And now I'm going to, again, use the gizmo and kind of get it into the place that I want it to be. And I'm going to kind of try to have this be eventually kind of like absorbed into the hair in this area. So I'm not too concerned about how it looks. And that it looks tube-like. And this is the same way that I made these ponytails. And I'm gonna do a similar thing here because there are more strands that come off the ponytails. There's some really cool gaps in there, how the hair, like the weight of the hair, how it falls. So you're gonna see this a lot again when it comes into this. I'll pull this point down here to give a little bit more of a point. And then there's also one that's kind of in the back too. Pull this up, I think that's too far. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of like do a drag copy with the gizmo tool, and it just does a duplication. Then I'm going to kind of just do the same where I'm going to have it blend and merge. And eventually what I'll do is I'll turn this all into one piece. So that way it has that kind of blending effect to it. But right now I just kind of really want to have those basic shapes driving the action and be separate and easy to deal with. Yeah, there we go. I'll divide those up to smooth them out. I'm even going to, there's this pinch tool that I really like. And so that can actually bring these ends in and create a nice taper effect. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna go back to this main chunk and I'm gonna start to add some of those chunks with clay tubes. So I'm going to drop back down. I might even add a little bit, a couple more edge loops right here, but this time I'm going to do single edge loops just to get a little bit more detail. And also that's going to sharpen this point here naturally. And now I'm going to start to subdivide this and figure out where I want to put a little bit of hair detail. Again, this is it's an animated character. It's pretty simple, so I'm not going to do a lot. I'm going to do a little bit more than what's on the reference, just for indications. And I'm using the Damien standard brush again. I'm going to kind of keep it to these edges here to kind of go along with those strands that I added. And then to kind of help with against this hair, because since the hair has kind of volume here, I'm going to use a Damien standard brush to try to create the illusion of flattening out in those areas to get rid of some of that warble. And then for the front here, because I want it to kind of flatten out and start to at least look like it's relatively level with these this front part area, I'm going to use the high polish brush, the H polish brush, kind of bring that level down and not be as round here. And then I'll smooth it just a little bit. All right, now I'm going to add some volume with the clay tubes brush, just like I did with kind of the scalp hair. just kind of filling out the shapes, and then come back in with a smooth brush. There we go. That's getting a little bit better. I might do this. So there's another really cool brush that I like that is called the, let's see what it is. It's a hook brush, snake hook. And I'm going to do that to kind of add a little bit of strandiness that breaks up on these edges here. I think I'm going to up the subdivisions just a little bit more to kind of smooth it. I'm also going to use that to kind of grab this center point and kind of give it a sharper look to it. Use the move brush to kind of push that in. In the end, I think I'm going to go in and just sharpen that up with some other tools eventually, but I still don't quite know. Because it's all going to really depend on how the bangs flow. Some of the bangs, depending on the pose. Let's see, I've got to get out of here. This is really interesting. Oh, hey, thanks for sticking around. As long as you did, almost the whole stream. I'm going to be wrapping it up pretty soon, but if you got to go, you got to go. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'm sure I'll catch you in Slee's streams. And if you can come back another time, that would be great. Maybe you can see us wrap it up or get into prepping for print, because that's going to be one of the streams that I do where I'm going to go through the boring process of getting it ready for printing after I've done all the engineering, and probably do that whole stream prepping it for print and then going down to my garage where I have my printer and setting it up live. And then I might do kind of like a time-lapse thing to post later. I don't know if I'll do it on Instagram or what, but if you want to see that kind of stuff, follow me on Instagram, KGart82, and I'm going to do some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of these projects there in my posts. But yep, thanks for coming in. And I think what I want to do before we completely finish is I want to do some of the stuff here with the hair. Oh, I do need to separate these rings because these are basically the same object right now. They share the same space. And what I mean by that is most of these parts, like the hair here, the bangs, they're all separate objects that I can manipulate separately. But these ponytails, the rings, are within the same space. So if I move one, it moves both. But they are separate pieces of geometry. So I can manipulate them separately. I can split these objects, and I split it by masking, by the fact that they're masked off. And now it looks like they disappeared, but they're just a separate object now, separate tool. All right. So I actually am, even though this was kind of how the auto remesher made this, lots of times I don't really like it, but for this purpose, I actually think that this geometry is pretty decent. It's spread out enough, even though some areas have a little bit of extra. I don't mind it in this particular instance. So I'm gonna go in and divide it up and bring up some of the reference and see exactly what I want to capture from it. I might even drop back down to the lower levels and try to get that main shape in, because I like some of the plane changes that are happening here, and I want to capture as much of the cool graphic nature of it as possible without it getting too weird looking from different angles. Let's see. Oh, and I will get to the ears and stuff like that and the eyes. I'm probably going to focus on the head all next stream, or the next stream I do Frieren. But the next stream might possibly be some werewolf heads for that action figure that I was talking about earlier, for those of you that heard that. Okay. So this is a bit too round, I think, here. So I'm gonna, even at this level, I'm gonna try to flatten some of this off and create some plane changes. Because even though there's some volume to these ponytails, there's still areas that have that kind of flat noodly-ness to it. So I'm just going to put some plane change areas in here, so that way I have some interesting bits to work with, and these could possibly drive some of the hair detail as well. The only thing that I do not like about this software, or one of the bigger things that I don't like, is the autosave. Don't get me wrong, autosave is great. In fact, I'm going to do a manual save right now, just because. Except I'm going to actually put it in the right spot. There we go. But the autosave feature, often it pops up right when you don't want it. And sometimes if you're working on a larger project, it takes a while. So it just kind of like slows down the momentum and the flow of work. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely is frustrating at times. But ZBrush is just a really good program if you can get your hands on it. I recommend it. If you can't, Blender, which some of you already are using, there are definitely some really good sculpting tools in Blender, and it's just getting better. So keep at it. I do want to work more in Blender and check it out. I do like some of the things that I have been seeing from Blender, and the few times that I've been able to work with it myself, I've really enjoyed it, but it isn't as user-friendly as ZBrush. ZBrush is very familiar if you've worked in Photoshop. There's a lot of things that are familiar. If you've worked in some other 3D packages, there's some things that transfer over as far as knowledge of how things work. And once you wrap your head around the multitude of different menus you can use, just the fact that you can go in and directly manipulate the material is, I love it. It is my favorite part of it. All right, so now that I have it divided, I can see some of those plane changes that I added at the lower subdivision level. I'm going to commit some of those a little bit more, just to get some of that roundness out. And then I'm going to start adding in some stuff with the Damien standard brush, some scribe lines. And this is when we'll look at the reference again. I think we're going to look at this. So this is a good start right here. I might even end up doubling up these ponytails just so that way there's a little bit of layering that's happening. In fact, I think I'm going to do that right. No, I'm not going to do that yet. I am going to widen this just a little bit because it does seem like it's a little bit wider in some areas. And then I'm going to start using the Damon Standard brush. And just again, oh, actually something that I'm going to do that I haven't done yet is there's a lazy mouse tool, which allows you to do a bit of a drag. And this is nice for control. So adding that controlled drag, you can do a lot of stuff. And you know what? I think we've come to a good stopping point for tonight. So this is kind of where I'm going to leave it for now. I might do a little bit more work on the hair, just to push it a little bit more far forward before the next stream. And then we're going to tackle the face, which will be very interesting because there's a lot of things that I will need to figure out how I want to tackle them, because again, translating from 2D to 3D, it's more than just copying the details and putting it in a 3D space. There's some problem solving that has to happen, which some of you guys might be familiar with. And that is probably going to be enough for a 2-hour stream. So let's see, who is still here? Got Kat and Adam. So thank you guys for sticking around. Thanks again, Adam, for following. I appreciate it a lot. This was a fun stream. Again, my 3rd stream, so I'm still getting my feet wet trying to figure this all out. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm gonna keep it up. So come back. I'm gonna try to consistently do Saturdays. I am still working out my time slot. I'm trying to figure out what's a good time. So far my first stream was midday, had a lot of people, but I think mostly because it was my first stream. The last stream was earlier, didn't have too many people pop in. This one has had a little bit more traffic, and I think later at night, it's a little bit easier for people to pop in. Some people are already home or doing their own thing and need something in the background. So I might stick to a later time slot, either Saturday or Sundays if I need to move it. But that being said, let's see, thanks for stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, so thank you for coming in. Thank you, Adam, for the compliment. Thanks, Kat, for stopping by. Hopefully you guys can stop by for more streams. I hope you enjoyed Frieren. She's coming along pretty good. This is only about maybe 7-8 hours worth of work, so I'm pretty happy with that, especially with talking through it. So yeah, thanks for coming in. I will see you all around. Do you have any questions or any thoughts before I take off? Either about this or about the show or about anything? Waiting for chat. Well, no, with that being said, gonna sign off. Oh, let's see. Thank you. I will. You keep up the amazing work with Rivals. I hope you win some more matches or rounds or whatever it is. Yeah, and I hope you can catch the next one too. So with that, have a good night, everybody.